Welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Matt.
And I am Karen. Today we are looking at a lesson called Jenny's Diary Entry. Now, when we're talking about a diary entry, what do we mean, Matt?
Well, usually that's where someone writes their sort of what they did that day, but also their secrets and the things that they don't want to share with anyone.
That's right.
Usually a little book that has maybe even has a lock on it because it's got lots of secrets inside. So I don't know if we should be reading this person's diary.
That's true, because usually it's very private and personal, and we should never ever read someone else's diary, right?
That's right.
But I guess, I don't know, maybe Jenny wants to share.
Okay, well.
But let me ask you though, have you ever kept a diary yourself?
I tried to once. I was studying abroad at the time and I wanted to try to remember everything I did there, but I kept forgetting to write it, so I would always be trying to catch up and write like the last 5 days, and then the next time it'd be like the last 7 days, and then eventually it was like, well, I'm not gonna write the last 30 days now, so I just gave up.
Oh no. I actually kept a diary too when I was in high school for a period of time, and I used to write down the things that happened every single day, and then the feelings that I had. Sometimes I was upset, or maybe I was sad. I didn't want to tell anybody, but you know, writing it in your diary was like a perfect way to kind of let it out.
Yeah, I guess that's the way that a lot of people can express their emotions without letting other people know their secrets and their secret thoughts and feelings.
I think it's a wonderful way too. But how about let's go into today's lesson and check out Jenny's diary entry.
Monday, August 10th, 2026. Dear Diary, it's the end of the day, and writing this entry will be the last thing I do before I turn out the lights and get some sleep. I have an exam tomorrow, and I don't want to be too tired. Initially, the day got off to a bad start because I missed my bus, so I had to walk to school. As I was walking, it started to rain, so I was wet and late for Ms. Clark's class. It left me in a bad mood all morning.
So we're looking at our lesson today, and it's called Jenny's Diary Entry. So before we begin, what is an entry?
All right, well, an entry, in this case, we're talking about a diary entry, and that means it's a written or recorded item that is placed into a series of these recorded items. So in the case of a diary entry or a journal entry, it's just one time of writing something in the diary. You can also use this with lots of like records of time. You can have a time entry, or for example, on a ship, there might be a captain's log where he'll make an entry into the captain's log to say what they did that day.
That's right.
So we have an example sentence. The writer checked each entry in the new book.
Okay, well, let's begin reading her diary.
All right, so she starts with the date Monday, August 10th, 2026.
That's right, because usually when we keep a diary or keep a journal, we will usually keep a date on it, right? So when we go back and we want to read it, we know when this happened.
Right, and this happened on a special day because that's my birthday.
Aww. Okay, well, I'll remember that, Matt.
So she writes, Dear Diary, it's the end of the day, and writing this entry will be the last thing I do before I turn out the lights and get some sleep.
And we usually start the diary this way, right? So before we write something about our day and how we feel, usually we would say, Dear Diary. It's like, it's as if you're writing to a friend or writing to someone really close to you, right? Okay, and then she continues, I have an exam tomorrow and I don't want to be too tired. Okay, so right here we know that there's something on her mind. She knows that she has an exam, like a big test coming up, and she doesn't want to be too tired. So she's basically sharing this information as if she's sharing it with a friend, right? And we're looking at this word here, exam, and that is a noun. An exam, short for examination, is a formal, often written test test designed to measure a student's knowledge or skill in a subject, or a checkup by a doctor to ensure a person is healthy. And an example sentence would be, the teacher graded all the exams quickly. And the exam we're talking about is the big test that you have in school today.
That's right. So she needs to get some sleep because that's very important for students. All right, let's check in with Annie.Hello，
大家好，我是 Hanny， 今天要读一篇日记。那课文标题是 Jenny's Diary Entry， 珍妮的日记。那么 entry 这个名词呢，它就可以表达日记账本的一则记录，或者是条目、项目，它也有进入权的意思。Matt 老师在讲解时有用到 log 这个字 ，log log， 它也可以指日记、日志。那么 Jenny 在她的日记提到说，写这篇日记是她关灯睡觉前做的最后一件事。她明天有考试，不想要让自己太累。好 ，exam 就是考试、检查或测验，它的正式写法是 examination。那我们接回课文中。
All right, thank you, Hanny. Now let's continue with this diary entry. Initially, the day got off to a bad start because I missed my bus, so I had to walk to school.
Okay, so Jenny's talking about her day. So initially basically just means like to start off her day, right? At the beginning of her day, and then something bad happened, you know? And then she continues to say, as I was walking, it started to rain. So I was wet and late for Miss Clark's class. It left me in a bad mood all morning. That's the kind of things that we would see in a diary entry. Usually, it's not just the events that happen, but you would also talk about the feelings that follow too. Like maybe you felt bad or you felt great after, certain things. So then she said that she was in a bad mood all morning. What does it mean when I say in a bad mood? So mood, that is a noun. A mood is a person's emotional state or feeling at a specific time, such as being happy, sad, or grumpy. It can also describe the atmosphere of a place or the feeling of a book that gives the reader. An example sentence would be, Tim's mood improved a lot after talking to a friend. And usually that happens. Maybe somebody's in a bad mood. After talking to a friend about your problems, your mood will improve, which means to get better.
And that's why some people like to write about these things in a diary, because it's like talking to a friend and it can help you improve your mood.
Exactly.
All right, let's go to Hanny.Jenny
接着写到，她这一天不太顺利，因为错过公车，只好走路去学校。走着走着，天空就开始下起了雨，她全身都湿透，上课还迟到，这让她整个早上心情都很糟。文中用到 left me in a bad mood 来表达让我心情很差。那么 mood 就是指心情、情绪，我们可以用 in 或 an 加形容词，再加 mood 去表达心情怎么样。那这边一个重点是 leave 加受词加受词补语的句型，动词 leave 在这边是表达使点点点处于某种状态。那受词补语你可以用形容词、现在分词 VING、过去分词 PP 或是介系词片语。我们造两个例句。The beautiful view left us speechless. 这美景让我们说不出话来。那补语用到了形容词。I'll leave the front door unlocked. 我不会把前门锁上的。这时候补语就是用到过去分词 PP unlocked。那接回课文中。
Thank you, Hanny. And now we are back. Okay, so far from, Jenny's diary entry, we know that, her day started off, not on a good start, right? She actually had a bad day. She was wet and she was late for class. And we know that she has this exam coming up and she doesn't want to be too tired, right?
Well, let's hope her day turned out a bit better after this. But we'll find out when we go to the second part of the article after this.
Later, the sky turned a lovely blue, and I began to feel a bit better. After school, Penny and I bought some chocolate from a new store that opened last week. Then we went to the park and saw a family of ducks on the pond. They were so cute and fluffy. I wanted to feed them, but Penny said we weren't allowed to. Besides, we didn't have any food with us apart from the chocolate, and we wanted that for ourselves. Anyway, I hope the exam goes well tomorrow. Jenny.
Welcome back, everyone. So before the break, we were looking at Jenny's diary entry, and we know that she didn't exactly have a great morning. She has this exam coming up. She's a little bit worried that she will be too tired, and then she was late and also wet for her class, and then she was in a bad mood all morning. But that's just morning, though. Maybe she's going to share what happens later on. Maybe she is going to have a better day afterwards.
So let's see what Jenny has to say. Later, the sky turned a lovely blue, and I began to feel a bit better. All right, so the weather has become a lot nicer. It was wet and rainy, but now there's blue sky, and that always makes me feel better when I look outside and there's blue sky.
Exactly. I feel exactly the same way. And I always feel a little bit down when it's like rainy and, like gloomy. And then she continues, after school, Penny and I bought some chocolate from a new store that opened last week. Then we went to the park and saw a family of ducks on the pond. Aw, that is so cute. So I'm guessing Penny is her friend. So she's describing what they did. So they went to this new store and got chocolate. And then they even saw a family of ducks, not just one, but a family of ducks on the pond. So it seems like her day is turning out to be pretty good.
Yeah, it sounds like not a bad day after all, even though it started out pretty bad. All right, let's go to Hanny.
后来天气放晴 ，Jenny 开始觉得好多了。那这时 Karen 老师说，她也是心情会受天气影响的人。像阴雨绵绵的时候，心情会比较低落。老师用到 gloomy 来当形容词，它是形容昏暗的、阴沉的，也可以形容忧郁的、沮丧的。那么 Jenny 接着提到，她放学后跟 Penny 去一家上周新开的店买一些巧克力，还去了公园，看见池塘上有鸭子一家人。那我们接回课文中。
All right, thank you, Hanny. So we just learned from the diary entry before we went to Hanny that Jenny had just seen a family of ducks. So let's hear about this family of ducks. They were so cute and fluffy. I wanted to feed them, but Penny said we weren't allowed to.
Yeah, usually I don't think you're allowed to feed, like the birds and the pigeons and the ducks. I don't think people recommend that, right?
Yeah, I think it's not good to feed ducks lots of bread because it's actually not good for them.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, the ducks, though, are very fluffy, and I'm sure she's talking about the young baby ducks or ducklings that are often yellow and fluffy looking. So fluffy is an adjective that means light and airy and soft. So if you think of something that has a lot of fur and then it's very soft, we'd usually call that something fluffy. Like some cats that have long fur, those look very fluffy. And if you think of yellow baby ducks, they're often looking very fluffy.
That's right. I also had a dog, and then she was a chow chow. And then they kind of look like lions. She was also very fluffy as well. Okay, well, let's continue with her diary entry. And then she says, besides, we didn't have any food with us apart from the chocolate, and we wanted that for ourselves. Okay, good thing they wanted that for themselves because we know that a lot of animals cannot have chocolate. So even if Penny and Jenny wanted to share, I don't think that would be a great idea.
Right, I don't think that's what ducks usually eat anyway.
I wonder if they would if you feed them. Maybe. Okay, but good thing they didn't. But we're looking at this word here, besides, and that is an adverb. So as an adverb, besides means also, in addition, or furthermore. It is used to add another reason or point to a statement, often appearing at the beginning of a sentence, followed by a comma. An example sentence would be, I don't want to go back outside. Besides, it's raining.
All right, Jenny continues her diary entry with, anyway, I hope the exam goes well tomorrow.
So I guess she's still worried about her exam, right? Although she had fun buying the chocolate, checking out the family of ducks, but I think having that exam is still on her mind. She's worried that she might not do so well. So at the end of the diary entry, she says, I hope the exam goes well tomorrow.
Right, and after that, she signs off with her name by saying, Jenny. So often when you write a diary, you start with Dear Diary and you end with your name or with goodbye. So you are writing it as if you are writing a letter to someone, but it's really a letter to yourself or to your diary.
Exactly. Okay, let's go over to Hanny first and we will be right back.
Jenny 提到那些鸭子可爱又毛茸茸的，很想喂它们，可是 Penny 说不能喂，而且它们身上除了巧克力也没有其他食物，巧克力是要留给自己吃的。好，单字 besides 在这边当副词表示此外而且，它也可以当介系词表达除了点点点之外还有什么。那么 fluffy 是形容毛茸茸的、蓬松的、松软的。Matt 老师在解释单字时用到 airy， 在 air 后面加 y 构成形容词，可以形容空气感的、蓬松的。那说到蓬松 ，Karen 老师就想起他之前养的一只狗是松狮犬 ，Chow Chow 就是松狮犬。好，那这边一个重点是 apart from 是片语介系词，后面可以接名词或动名词，它就跟 aside from 用法相近，可以表达以下两种意思。一个是表达除了点点点之外没有什么，那后面的受词就不包含在内，这时候它的意思相当于 except 或者是 except for。例如 I enjoyed all the dishes apart from the salad， 除了那一道沙拉之外，所有的菜肴我都喜欢。再来，它第二个意思可以表达除了点点点之外还包括什么，那后面的受词就有包括在内，那这时候呢，它就跟 besides in addition to 意思相同。例如 apart from the salad, we also ordered spaghetti and soup. 除了沙拉之外，我们还点了意大利面和汤。好，那这回到课文中。
Thank you, Henny. And now we are back. Okay, so from the diary entry today, I'm sure a lot of you guys know how to write a diary entry next time, right? And I think it's still a great idea. Sometimes maybe there are some things that happens throughout the day you might want to remember in the future, and then you can just look back on your diary and then check out what happened every single day.
And it's also a great way to practice English, by practicing your English writing and also your speaking skills, because diary entries are very casual. It's like having a conversation with someone.
Exactly. Okay, we hope you enjoyed our lesson today. So let's review the article again and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Monday, August 10th, 2026. Dear Diary, it's the end of the day, and writing this entry will be the last thing I do before I turn out the lights and get some sleep. I have an exam tomorrow, and I don't want to be too tired. Initially, the day got off to a bad start because I missed my bus, so I had to walk to school. As I was walking, it started to rain, so I was wet and late for Ms. Clark's class. It left me in a bad mood all morning. Later, the sky turned a lovely blue, and I began to feel a bit better. After school, Penny and I bought some chocolate from a new store that opened last week. Then we went to the park and saw a family of ducks on the pond. They were so cute and fluffy. I wanted to feed them, but Penny said we weren't allowed to. Besides, we didn't have any food with us apart from the chocolate, and we wanted that for ourselves. Anyway, I hope the exam goes well tomorrow. Jenny.
最后，我们来复习今天课文里的单字文法。单字的部分有 entry 名词，它表示日记账本的一则记录、条目或者是项目，还有进入权的意思。exam 名词表示考试、检查、测验。mood 名词表示心情、情绪。besides 副词表示此外而且，它也可以当介系词表达除了点点点之外还有什么。文法的部分，第一个学到 leave 加受词补语的句型。那动词 leave 是表达使点点点处于某种 种状态。受词补语你可以用形容词 VING、PP 或介系词片语。第二个我们学到 apart from 是片语介系词，你要在后面接名词或动名词，那它可以表达除了点点点之外就没有什么了，或是表达除了点点点之外还包括什么，那就是看上下文决定咯。好，那以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
When we hear the word hall, we often think of a long, narrow corridor in a building. However, a hall can also describe a large room or assembly space. Today, we're going to introduce you to a place called the John Paul II Sports Hall at Providence University. Let's go burn some calories together. Providence University's John Paul II Sports Hall is named after St. Pope John Paul II, a strong supporter of sports. The school built the facility to promote a more active lifestyle among faculty and students, inspired by the late Pope. The John Paul II Sports Hall includes a badminton court, a shared volleyball and basketball court, a table tennis room, a dance studio, a multi-purpose room, fitness centers, and more. Its facilities are spacious, allowing users plenty of room to exercise indoors. There is also a 200-meter indoor track for jogging, as well as a rock climbing area in the gym. On the first and third floors, the fitness centers provide weight training equipment and are open for use at a small fee. Thanks to its diverse facilities, the John Paul II Sports Hall makes regular exercise easy and accessible for everyone on campus. With so many different physical activities to choose from, the John Paul II Sports Hall at Providence University is your one-stop spot for all your exercise needs.